Another week in the pandemic, and yet another opportunity for Democrats to do what they do best, which is fearmonger, spread disinformation, and try to pack a whole lot of pork and a whole lot of nonsense into the stimulus package. They're such a helpful party, aren't they? President Trump has made it clear that he wants American taxpayers, American workers, to be able to receive the help that they need during this coronavirus quarantine, shutdown, dismantling of our entire economic engine, which right now the Democrats want to turn into another golden opportunity for them to put it to the American taxpayer. Mitch McConnell is blasting Chuck E. Cheese Schumer and Nancy Botox Pelosi over some of the things that they have added into this stimulus package, which again was supposed to be money going to taxpayers. You know, UBI, Universal Basic Income, the Yang Gang plan. Well, anyway, we've already talked about that at length, but apparently Nancy and Chuck have stuck things in there like funding for solar panels. Okay, wasn't aware that solar panels on your house would kill the coronavirus. Needless to say, as they drag this out, they want to pin the blame on the GOP, pin the blame on Donald Trump, who again remains on offense. And I'm thinking before the week is over, you are going to see the president override his team of medical experts and actually, by executive order, tell the FDA this malaria medicine that has been used effectively in places like France. Oh, and by the way, isn't it interesting? Almost no cases of coronavirus in Africa, where this medicine is readily available and has been since the 1930s. I think you're going to see the president, by executive order, just say, that's it. FDA, get this medication en masse to the people. The governors of Ohio and New York are demanding it. And I think you're going to see that on the rise. And when that happens, you're going to see the president start to lift back on these quarantines and these stay-home orders that, you know, we're gonna put everything on lockdown. You're going to see that begin to lift. You're going to see the economic engine come back. Once people know there is a treatment that is readily available to them and they can relatively feel safe and calm, they will get past the fear-mongering that is being spread by the lying legacy corporate corrupt mainstream media. And my prediction is, keep your eyes on this week in particular. This is when it's going to hit the road. This is when it's going to get wild. That said, what is Joe Biden going to do? He has all but been forgotten. Now, I know he came out and did kind of like a very brief briefing where, you know, he used it as an opportunity to blame Trump, and it was brief because apparently his team knows they can only keep him coherent for about 90 seconds. He's been embarrassing himself, especially trying to do the whole social media platform thing. Well, he has basically disappeared. Bernie Sanders is completely off the radar, and now trending on Twitter as the potential for the new Democratic nominee to run against Donald Trump, Governor Cuomo of New York. Now, somebody said, oh, he can't do that. The primary is basically over. Biden has mounted an insurmountable lead. This is the Democratic Party we're talking about. These people change their own rules at the drop of a hat. You really think they wouldn't change a couple of rules and just poof, magically, Cuomo gets all of Biden's delegates? Can you see that happening? And I'm watching even conservative people in the Empire State. Why, right now they're praising Andrew Cuomo. He's doing a good job handling this corona crisis. You do remember this is the guy that wants to disarm the citizens. This is the guy who, to thunderous applause, signed the most radical pro-abortion legislation in American history into law. We're talking about abortion during the birthing process. And now all of a sudden, conservatives in New York have nice things to say about Cuomo. Why? Because he's kind of taking charge, and he's even said nice things about Donald Trump. Of course he has. I guarantee you, Andrew Cuomo sees this as an opportunity to take the nomination from Biden. You got Bill de Blasio. He's blaming President Trump that New York is sick. Okay. And again, I reiterate from my other monologues. Have you noticed how many famous people are getting coronavirus and don't have any symptoms? Because there's some stats that are not being looked at, not being processed, not being factored into the equation. Number one, the people who've already had it and are over it and never even knew they had it. In fact, the chances are some of you watching this video, you may have had it, didn't even know you had it, and now you're over it. You went through something maybe this past winter where you were sick and fatigued and it kind of got the best of you for the better part of a week, and then you got over it and you thought maybe it was the flu, maybe it was just a really bad cold, and now you're completely over it. Did you ever think that maybe you had coronavirus? That hasn't been factored in. Hey, how about the fact that the Israelis have come up with some scientific proof that the vast majority of the planet does have an immunity to this? Funny how all of a sudden those medical reports are disappearing and being purged from the internet. And by the way, the longer this is floating out there, you do realize that your body, designed by God, ooh, that thing the Darwinists don't want to hear, your body, designed by God, will develop natural immunities to it. As it cycles through our country, through our communities, you are already developing immunity to it. You know, I keep getting texts all weekend long. It's the same text being sent by multiple people about, you can get it from the gas pump handle. Okay, you can probably get a lot of things. There's probably a lot of germs and funk on a gas pump handle. Stop and think about it this way. Have you thought about what kind of diseases that you could catch just from going into a public restroom? No, I'm serious. It's amazing we all haven't dropped dead of syphilis just using the urinal at a truck stop. God did design our bodies to withstand and develop immunity to germs. In fact, it was just a couple of years ago, the medical community was warning us, stop using so much hand sanitizer. You're killing your body's own natural defense and immunity. And now all of a sudden, we're told we got to carry it on our hips like Wyatt Earp in a gun holster. You got to have your hand sanitizer or it's not safe to touch anything. We've gone bat crap crazy. And as I watch governors, including the governor of Ohio, monkey see, monkey do. Well, New York is on lockdown. California's on lockdown. Now we got to put Ohio on lockdown. And only essential businesses can be open. Now I want you to reason this out with me for just a moment. Lumber yards are considered now essential business, but a church is not. Now, he has said that churches are exempt from the stay-at-home order. In other words, if you want to be open, you can be. But it's done with that, you're not really essential. And if you are open, you are running the risk of putting people at risk. They could come to your church and get it. Maybe they can. This is not the Black Plague, number one. And number two, there is an aspect to this coronavirus, this corona hysteria, this corona fear, which the medical community is not talking about. The psychological aspect, the emotional aspect, the spiritual aspect. And the church is uniquely equipped to handle that for people. Seriously. We have an ability through the preaching of the gospel, through worship, to be able to give people hope, peace, to experience firsthand the love of God, the love of Jesus Christ. And you know what that does during a pandemic? It brings calm. It brings peace. It offers sanctuary. And by cutting the church out of that equation, You have any idea beyond the economic and the so-called health ramifications of the coronavirus? You have any idea the long-term psychological, emotional problems we are going to have even after this crisis fades if the church is removed from being a part of the solution? Something to think about during this corona hysteria. Hey, that's it for this little quick mini rant. Give us a thumbs up and a like. Make sure you're telling your friends about this channel, because we know YouTube won't. Smack the bell so that you get notification of my next rant, but you've got to click the word all, or you won't get notification of any of my rants. YouTube's so helpful that way.